Shabbat Shalom, and happy Independence Day, everyone. Thank you all for joining us here this evening and for those tuning in online. Shabbat falling on July 4th is an interesting overlap. On Shabbat, we celebrate our shared values and heritage through rest and ritual. Coming to temple for services or preparing a Shabbat dinner are expressions of a desire for Jewish connection, whether we're conscious of it or not. Shabbat is a time and a means for us to be with our people. And when we celebrate Shabbat, we do more than just honor the Sabbath. We celebrate Jewish peoplehood. Now, the 4th of July marks another opportunity for celebration. That is, celebration of nationhood as Americans. That includes all of the freedoms we enjoy and all of the progress our country has made from its founding days to the present. So celebrating Shabbat, Jewish peoplehood in practice, on the same day as July 4th, a celebration of our American heritage and nationhood, raises a core question. What does it mean to be a Jew in America? And to what extent are we fully a part of it? Well, let me be clear. Without question, we're fully a part of this nation, and to think any differently would be misguided at best. The discourse surrounding Jewish belonging has some dark undertones. The idea that Jews are a nation within a nation often invites the anti-Semitic trope of dual loyalty that accuses Jews of being more loyal to themselves as a nation than to the country in which they actually live. Being an American Jewish Zionist adds further complexity to this dynamic. However, the truth of the matter is that, as a people, we aren't defined by borders, but by collective memory and shared tradition, none of which are in conflict with being loyal, patriotic Americans. And historically, Jews have fit into American society not as outsiders shoehorned in, but as a piece designed for the puzzle. Part of this is because America, when it's at its best, welcomes layered identities. In fact, being Jewish doesn't make us any less American. It teaches us how to be the best kind of American, to live in mutual covenants, to pursue justice, and to honor freedom. From our country's very start, our people have never been outsiders looking in. We were builders, believers in the cause, and proudly engaged citizens in the American project. Dating all the way back to the Revolutionary War, Jews have been inextricably woven into the fabric of American life. Take Chaim Solomon, for example, a Polish-born Jew who immigrated to New York and became one of the most important financiers of the American Revolution. Working closely with influential financiers and leaders at the time, Solomon raised vast sums of money to support the Continental Army, often advancing funds from his own pocket. It's said that without Solomon's efforts, the colonies might have struggled to sustain the war effort at all. Or consider Francis Salvador, the first Jew elected to public office in the American colonies, who also became the first Jew to die in battle fighting for American independence. These weren't men on the sidelines of history. They were on the front lines with their convictions and with their lives. Even Jewish communities like Congregation Shereth Israel in New York, the oldest Jewish congregation in North America, openly supported the revolution as part of their worship services. They prayed for the well-being of the new government and declared their place in what was one of the most promising political experiments of all time, unfolding before their eyes. And in 1790, just a few years after the revolution, George Washington himself affirmed the Jewish place in American life in his famous letter to the Hebrew congregation in Newport, Rhode Island. In it, he wrote words that still resonate today, saying, "It is now no more that toleration is spoken of as if it were by the indulgence of one class of people that enjoyed the exercise of their inherent natural rights. Happily, The government of the United States gives to bigotry no sanction, persecution no assistance. So Washington's words weren't niceties. They were radical for their time by declaring in no uncertain terms that Jews belong here as equals in the American promise. Now, all of these historical vignettes remind us that Jews in America were never guests, but on the contrary, we were among the architects. And from then until now, American Jews have taken up the mantle of civic responsibility by serving in Congress and on the Supreme Court, by leading in social movements, contributing to science, business, the arts, and in public life. But our contributions aren't just patriotism or politics. They come from a deeper well, which is from our identity as Am Yisrael, the people of Israel. More than a religion, we're a people bound by shared history and an ancestral covenant. And that covenant doesn't isolate us. It propels us outward by encouraging us to seek the good of the places where we live. The prophet Jeremiah wrote to the exiled Jews in Babylon, "Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Eternal on its behalf. For in its welfare, you will find your welfare." That, my friends, is not dual loyalty. That is covenantal loyalty, and it brings the best of who we are to wherever we find ourselves. So yes, we are a nation within a nation, but not in the way that our detractors mean it. We are a people with a distinct identity who also fully embrace our American one. These are not in tension. They are in harmony. So this Shabbat, this 4th of July, let's be proud of both, lighting Shabbat candles as well as sparklers. Because the language of Torah and the language of liberty can be spoken in the same tongue. May we continue championing our place as builders, believers, and doers of the Jewish and American stories, fulfilling the promise of each and honoring the responsibilities of both. And on this Shabbat of American independence, may we also offer a prayer for the state of Israel, that it may know peace, security, and the fulfillment of its promise as a home for our people and a light among nations. Happy Independence Day and Shabbat Shalom.